let's say you use AI to come up with a product much faster. Let's say you develop products every 6 months,
Hmm.
but if you're able to, with AI's help, if you're able to get that out in 4 months, so the churn of the products is much faster, how quickly you're coming up, and so that is going to help with your top line growth. Third angle, Pallavi, is new business models. What was not possible with AI, you could be able to come up with new business models that will create new streams of revenue. So all these are adding to your top line, not just the bottom line.
Welcome to AI Inclusive, where we discuss how AI and business intersect to build a more inclusive and ethical future. I'm your host, Pallavi Sharma, and today we're diving into how AI can help businesses overcome scaling challenges while maintaining a personal touch with our special guest, Reddy Mallidi. Welcome, Reddy.
Glad to be here, Pallavi.
So tell me a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into business. How did you get into AI? Any fun facts you have to share?
Many years ago when I was in my graduate school getting my computer science master's degree, I took a neural networks class. My friend Ben Carter and we wrote together a game. Believe it or not, this is to test the addictive behaviors of smokers. So we used neural networks. That was way back in early 90s. And then later I started a data science team when I was working to increase the operating margins for two business units. And then later, we actually had a full-fledged AI application to completely automate export compliance at Autodesk.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Important work. So you've been in this game a little while longer than those folks that just discovered it with the advent of ChatGPT, it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 years before ChatGPT appeared on the horizon, Pallavi, we already had a machine learning model that was created and fully deployed to automate that export compliance. This was in 2019, and 2022 is when end of 2022 is when ChatGPT appeared, and then everyone started talking about the AI, the buzzword it is today.
Reddy, you are an AI expert, obviously, and you are an author of a new book, AI Unleashed, a leader's playbook to master AI for business excellence. We're really excited to have you to share your insights on how AI can personalize customer interactions at scales and how businesses can avoid common pitfalls in adopting AI solutions. And I think this is especially timely because we're in a situation right now where there's like this race to AI, slap on AI and go. And there's not as much of a focus on customer experience in at a number of companies. And I personally feel that when I'm testing out AI solutions, if it's not working for me, it's wasting my time. I don't care how great your marketing is, and I'm a marketer. I'm going to be disappointed and I'm going to leave. And so that customer experience is paramount. Scaling businesses while maintaining that customer satisfaction is going to be a major challenge because a lot of this technology is still in development. So, with your new book, there's a chapter called The Personal Touch, Crafting AI-Driven Customer Experience. Can you give us a little bit more information and your perspective about AI and why it's so critical when it comes to customer experience?
So I'll give you a couple of examples, Pallavi. It's when I was at Autodesk, I had a large team that was focused in my operations organization. A large team was spending a lot of time on customer experience. And
Mm-hmm.
when I look back, we all make calls to uh, all the service companies that we have services with, and the challenge is people ask the same questions multiple times, and the customer service specialists, they don't have our information, and it's not readily available. Secondly, when they want to solve our problem, you may be wanting, if you're a small business, you may want to switch instead of 5 licenses, you may want 10 licenses or vice versa, whatever. And you want answers. Not every one of those are solvable by self-service because they may want to speak to an agent, and how quickly you solve it and how frictionless you can make it and how you can personalize. Imagine that, let's say you have 300 customer experience folks, but then you need to scale it. And then if you're a small business, you may not have a large organization. And if you have a customer base that's globally spread, how do you make the experience personable, personalized, and make it available in multiple languages 24/7? AI is a game changer. It can make those things that businesses were unable to do so far, but with AI, you can scale it, you can personalize it, you can treat the customer as if you just met that person a few minutes before and you know everything about that. Those are the possibilities that AI is enabling. So the customer experience can be dramatically positive and improved.
Absolutely. So in theory, I completely agree that this can be really game changing. And as a kind of revenue driven marketer who now is running my own business and having to do more sales outreach, what I'm learning from the coaches that I'm working with is that personalization is so key. And as a marketer, I get solicited to a lot, right? And really,
Right.
those pitches that I can tell they've taken the time to understand what my needs might be, and who I really am, and bring a solution to me that is going to be relevant, they win. But as a marketer, I also know in house it's so challenging to do this, kind of at scale, if you will. Data is not always where it needs to be in house. Just, I remember working at a company where we were just afraid to even do the first name personalization because we were doing a big data migration, and this wasn't even too long ago, but the data was in such bad shape, and so we didn't want people to
Right.
get brackets first name, and let alone more advanced personalization, right? And I see it. I see some stuff coming in at me, which I'm like, okay, obviously this is automated. You've completely missed the mark. Why is it so difficult, in your opinion, right now for companies to scale using AI?
It's Pallavi, the thing that you need to get a few things right in order to. AI has all these capabilities, but in order to get the most benefit, you need to have the fundamentals done correctly. That includes data. Data may reside in 20 other places. At my previous place, our team had to access 15 different applications just to get the access to the right data. So
Hmm.
that actually creates a lot of challenge in scaling personally, getting all the knowledge, and then knowing where the data is. So you need to get the data management right. And the second one is security. You need to make sure that your data, there's a lot of IP and it is custom. It's if you are a SaaS business, software as a service, you probably have very unique way you are providing the service and the product. So that information needs to be secure. And when you're training the AI models, you want to make sure that your data is not going out into the cloud and someone has access, and then you also are avoiding all the pitfalls. Well, we can talk about the pitfalls. For example, the data may have biases. How do you clean that data? So you have to get the fundamentals ready. And then, of course, building the team is very,
Oh
very
yeah,
important. The
so key.
one difference, probably I would say, is it's not like it's not like cloud technology or other technologies. AI is a cross-functional, cross-team effort. You got to have the right team. So It's the ethicists, it's the business analysts, it's the people who have knowledge in data science. So getting the data right, getting the security right, getting the ethics side taken care of, and having the team that can do the AI, having all those basics, the fundamentals, once you have them in place, then you would be able to leverage AI to scale it to get that 30%, 40%, 50% productivity gain and create new business models, get that content out 5 times faster. You can get that marketing that is customized to every individual. The messages and the campaigns are done so quickly. You would be able to do that, but you need to get the fundamentals ready. The one beauty I will tell you, Pallavi, is you don't need to get all that data into one data lake, because AI is really good in getting the unstructured data. You don't need to have all the databases all done. It can pull that, but you need to train the models in order for it to pull and have that information in the knowledge base so quickly. Your customer experience people can, or other operations or marketing people can pull that information very quickly.
Okay. Yeah, I think what, I'm also hearing from you is that it's not a magic wand. And this is what I tell my own clients is that I've seen what it can do as a marketer. It's just blown my mind. That's why I've gone all in. But it is not like a switch of a, flick of a switch. You have to do certain things. I position my business as human, AI, human. And so folks coming in just like throwing AI solutions and expecting it's going to somehow just solve everything, it's not how it works. You need to make sure you're doing certain things up front that are going to be conducive for you to really leverage the power of AI. And I think this is why it's especially important for any executives or folks listening to this who are looking to scale their business, or if you're an entrepreneur looking to start your business. And I'm not saying this just to like kind of pitch people like us, but there are those of us that are immersing ourselves in our respective spaces when it comes to AI. So leverage that knowledge. There's a lot happening coming at you really quickly. And if you are going to just try to treat this as some other SaaS product that you just got to plug in and it's going to work, it doesn't work like that yet. At least we're not there yet. So work with the people who kind of can understand, right? How to help you with your AI transformation, how to get you set up. I have another podcast with Ashley Gross, and she works with enterprises to really help them put their policies in place. She before she gets on to all the AI stuff, she works with the executives to say, hey, what are your security policies? What are the various other AI and IT policies that you need to put in place so you can actually be successful at this? And if you do that work up front, and then have humans on the other side making sure they're keeping it in check, again, it is just mind-blowing what you can accomplish. But you've got to have a mind shift on how this works, I think.
Absolutely. You brought a fundamental thing that is very close to my heart, Pallavi, is having that human oversight is very, very critical. I'll give you an example. Just a few weeks ago, I was reading a post on LinkedIn by a CEO of a company that provide customer support software, and
Mm-hmm.
the first sentence I read, this was written by AI. It was not edited at all. And then it's like, but then I read the whole thing. If there were his personality was coming through, it was, it was a job that was not done well. So you cannot rely 100% on AI. Today, I can tell you the accuracy levels of AI, these LLMs, all these models, is best case 70%, but you need to train it over a period of time. You can get to 80%. So
Yeah.
human in the loop is very, very critical,
Yeah.
especially when it involves regulatory industries like the banking and finance, loan approvals, healthcare, all these. you cannot just say, hey, AI gave me this answer. No, that's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it.
No.
And it's very, very critical. People are actually looking at the answers and customizing. Your personality is coming through. That's very, very critical.
Yeah, that is so 70% exactly. Like so I use kind of a range in terms of what you can expect depending on what the use case is. Never do I say 100% because it's never been 100%. It does not work like that. And that's why it's so important to have that human aspect to either, feed it the instructions, however it may be, that you need the human to say, hey, AI, like focus it in a particular direction. And then, like you said, you need to have checks and balances. So what it's amazing at doing is that 70%, right? And what it does with that 70 whatever percent, 70, sometimes 80, sometimes in marketing there's use cases where it's like even 90 and 95 but never 100, is that part gets condensed down like to a point where it was just impossible to do before. And so that's where the savings comes, right? Is that 70% you're able to do things so rapidly and get the kind of insights and output that you just couldn't get before. So even if there's that other 30% where your human has to be there, the value of that 70% is just so immense. So on the flip side,
70%
go ahead,
is
please go.
it it's such a productivity gain, but also let's say you're writing an article and you have a bunch of ideas. You can throw those ideas, those are your own ideas, you put it into ChatGPT, Claude, or whatever tool you use. It can give you a quick starting point, but that's already saving you at least 50 to 70% of your time. That's a remarkable productivity gain. So go
Right,
ahead, Pallavi,
right.
you were about to say something.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing, and this is again what I'm telling my clients, is right now where I feel at this point, September 2024, is that AI is really right now about a lot of productivity gains. And so it's about efficiency, right? So cost savings, time savings, growth, I think will come and is being worked on. But my advice to folks is just get involved with AI so you can start getting comfortable with what the limitations are and what it can do. And I personally think starting with ways where it can increase efficiencies is a great way to start, because that way, you're being efficient, but it's almost kind of a low risk way to use AI. And then, once you get that in, then you get into the scaling stuff, right? Where that's where, all the stuff we're talking about, the personalization, the customer touch, all that stuff really starts to take off big time. And it's like, if there are companies right now that are still like, oh, AI is a buzzword. And trust me, again, like I've not so long ago had this exec who basically these kinds of exact, oh, it's just a buzzword. It's like, oh my God, forget it then. Just forget about it, because you're just going to be mowed down if you're not on paying attention. Can you talk to us a little bit about how AI can, enhance personalization as a company grows? Can you give us like a kind of a practical example? Because what I want to do with this podcast is not always assume, right? Those of us that have been in sales and marketing, we're just like, well, of course you can do this. But there are business leaders who they're the CEO. And I tend to work more with like business leaders who are not necessarily marketing experts. Help them understand, what does it mean to personalize, and how can AI do it like kind of operationally, pragmatically, and help with customer experience.
Yeah. So, Pallavi, personalization means traditionally personalization is a very, very expensive proposition. This is why companies tend to bucketize and standardize. Hey, we are offering this product in 2 levels. But now what happens is, with AI, personalization at scale is very, very possible, which means you may have all these nuanced um, needs that may be movie selection, right? It's no two people are the same, right? You may like
Yeah.
all one kind of movies, comedy someone likes, or comedy with the other combination, romantic, all those different. So what AI can do is, first of all, because it has understanding of your history and what kind of movies you like, what kind of music you like, so it can offer those specific recommendations. That's
Yeah.
purely from the entertainment perspective. But personalization in product choices, that could be one angle. But also, let's say personalization means, so you call because you have, today it's even let's say your laptop is giving you some trouble, right?
Mm-hmm.
So having, okay, you bought this laptop 8 months ago, and how you use it for the laptop, let's say you are on a lot of these Zoom calls, video calls, it's causing a lot of stress and tripping the laptop, all that history. It's when the technical person on the other side has all that information. So what it can do is, even AI can give the checklist. Hey, these are the things. First, ask these questions instead of, okay, oh, what laptop do you have? Can you read the model number? Can you read that, all that information? That's going to
Yeah.
take a lot of time, half a day. That's a lot of frustration,
Oh my
right?
God.
And
Yeah.
now let me give another
I'm getting
example. Let's say
stressed
there
out
are
just
different.
listening to you. I'm getting stressed out listening to you because I'm thinking of my own personal customer experience situations somewhat recently. And I'm like, oh
Uh-huh.
my gosh, why am I having to give you this information again? Like, just like we're not even talking about what you're talking about. We're talking about just the customer having to reiterate and re explain. And yeah, so the
So many
potential is
times.
tremendous.
Yeah, yeah. It's even if you look at the dashboards, right? The dashboard, as a marketing person, you look at the dashboards from the same data set. Your view is slightly different than an operations person or someone in the engineering side. Everyone is looking from different perspectives. Someone wants to reduce the number of, hey, increase the self-service, reduce the human assisted number. That may be the one person looking at, and then a marketing or customer experience person is looking, how can I reduce the friction? So the dashboards you're looking at from the same data is slightly different, but with AI you can customize those, you can define what you want, and it can pull the data, and how neat it is, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And, I know there are companies right now working on something similar that I've seen where the information that is stored on the customer side, like from a customer experience perspective, any calls that are coming in, what are their pain points? It's still being captured very, very manually, I feel, but there's so much gold there, right? For you to be able to see what are the real pain points and what could the economic value, because what happens right now in traditional kind of business settings is it's like those big customers, they're the squeaky wheel, so you start building a company for that big customer, and should that big customer ever leave, you're just left in the lurch. Meanwhile, you might have a bunch of smaller customers whose value may far exceed this one large customer, but because you're not collectively capturing what those needs are and then translating them into prioritizing the features they're looking for, you could be losing big business and you could be stunting your growth because you're not listening to those customers or that customer experience. So again, it's an area that I feel like there's still just a lot of value to be unlocked when done right. And then I'm just hoping
Absolutely.
AI. Yeah, I think it's a big area for AI. And I'm hoping as we see new AI first companies crop up, that's an area that they tackle.
Absolutely. That's because, as I said, personalization is such an expensive proposition before AI. That's why, oh, you got the 500 customers. These are enterprise level customers. And then you got probably 300,000 small and medium businesses. They don't get the same love that an enterprise customer gets because it's not
Right.
scalable. But with AI, it is scalable. That's
Right.
the big top line growth opportunity AI provides all of a sudden. It's if you go from 100% to 115%
Yeah.
on increased sales from existing customers, that's a business growth, top line growth.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a tremendous opportunity. So I hope and I feel like we see it on the marketing side. And I've been in this boat so many times where I'm just looking at this on the marketing side, going, "Oh my God, there's so much value over there," but we just keep getting stuck on the sales side. And so internally, I think that's also where business leaders, this comes into good leadership, is you want to make sure as a CEO or the person responsible for your growth isn't just beholden to, for example, like the top sales leader with the biggest account, right? That person usually is there and they've gotten in that role because they're a good salesperson, so they're going to keep pushing you right to their client, the big customer. But is that the best for the company? It may not be, right, for your future growth. So it's really important, I think, for leaders to pay attention to like their entire customer base.
Salespeople don't like to capture the information. They would rather spend the time on the deal making or
Yeah.
putting that information into the CRM.
Yeah.
AI actually is so good with unstructured data. It can get all these communication, WhatsApp and text messages, voicemail, all that. It can grab the insight, unbelievable, and put it into the CRMs.
Yeah, I mean, I use Fathom for my meetings, Fathom AI, and that has been one of those kind of companies that gets AI, and my God, it saves us so much time. And they do this thing now where if you have a meeting, they'll send their recording. It's great in product marketing to whoever's been on the call, and I get messages back saying, "Oh my God, this is amazing," because it's able to summarize really well, like the conversation you had based on different lenses. And then it gives you action items, and there's recordings, so there's no question. And it connects with your CRM. So if you're doing a sales call, you now have the record in HubSpot or in Salesforce of what actually went down with that particular customer. So these are the types of things people need to kind of get on board. And I really urge folks to look at some of these AI first companies, because the way they're approaching things, I feel, is very different from the companies that have been around for a while and now are just like slapping AI on top of it. Those experiences for me when I'm testing haven't been, that great. Alrighty. So in your, experience, like measurement is really, really critical. And I feel like right now we're in kind of this very big discovery phase. But once a company does implement AI-driven solutions, how should they measure the success of these initiatives? And what are some metrics or indicators that leaders should focus on? Because as we talked about a little earlier, there's going to be a lot of change that happens. And so how do they kind of reorient the way they're measuring things?
So it's I'll give you a statistic, Pallavi. You would be amazed. So most of the companies today, they have deployed AI. The companies that have deployed AI in one way or the other, the return on investment is very, very minuscule. It is less than 1%, by the way. It is on MIT Sloan School did a study. That is so low. So instead of focusing immediately on the ROI, I would first go about it and say, hey, can we get people to learn using it, and then can we at least recoup the costs of deploying these? For example, let's say you get enterprise license for 100 of your employees, if you're a 300 people company, etc., and you take 6 months of time. How much productivity gain? It's not going to come immediately, but let's say over a period of 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, if each one of them is saving 30 minutes. Just example, what you just said is meeting summarization or document summarization or contracts that they're signing. It is pulling the information about all the obligations you have to the customers. And let's say that saves you 30 minutes every day. for 100 people, that's 50 hours saved every day. And then, that's a maybe 5% improvement in productivity. But is it paying for the cost? That's the starting point. But you should be looking a year after you deploy, a year or two, you should be looking 20-30% improvement in the productivity, because that is possible. And then this is more from the productivity, cost reductions, efficiency perspective, but you should be going to the next level, at the functional level. For example, since you're in the marketing arena, so let's
Mhm.
say you create a campaign,
Yeah.
a digital campaign, right?
Mhm.
How do you measure the effectiveness, right? And so AI generated campaign, let's say someone spends 20% of their time, but AI does the 80% of the work, and then see, once you deploy it, you track the results from that AI generated campaign and then see how effective it is. And okay, let's say the sales increased, or the touch points increased by 20%. That's
Yeah.
a huge gain. So if you have to go function by function. And if you're in an operation, let's say you're in a factory manager, so you have predictive analytics on the machine maintenance. Did it go down by 20%, the downtime? So you have to go by the functional areas. If you're doing SEO optimization, so your metrics are going to be based on that. But I would say you have to wait at least 6 months to a year to say, okay, this is how I'm going to measure on SEO optimization, or downtime, or the service level increase if it is in the CX space. Oh, did my um, self-service level went from like 30%. Now with AI, did it go 50%? It's
Mhm.
again, it's all customized. If you're in FP&A or finance, I would say, okay, now we're after the close of the quarter, we are doing the earnings call. All the data is getting ready. It is taking 30 days. Now my goal is to get to 10 days. And then if AI is making that possible, that's a huge gain. So you have to customize those metrics, and of course at the people level, at the functional level, and then define and then put them in place. Are we getting there or not?
Yeah, and to add to that, I also think that these studies you've got to take them out with a grain of salt, right? Because it depends on how AI is being deployed. So if you're doing some mass level and company wide, and you're a larger company and you get technology in there, but you haven't trained the employees really how to use it, or there's other internal issues keeping you from really fully deploying it. I'm sure there's still a lot of that kind of thing happening internally. And so don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? Don't say, oh, AI is not working.
Yep.
Like, make sure you're looking internally and saying, well, did we do what we needed to do in order to make it successful, before you just decide there's no ROI? Because there's probably ROI, and it's really a matter of making sure you're measuring it appropriately, and also deploying AI where it makes the most sense, because there's different maturity levels with the technology. So determine your organization, where does it make the most sense to start deploying it, where those technologies are mature versus just, again, a lot of people are getting pressure from the board. What's your AI story? What's your AI strategy? Well, be thoughtful about it, right? If you just plug something in and it costs a lot of money and it doesn't, it doesn't do what it's supposed to do because you didn't do the foundation building, then you're not going to have a good story to tell in a few months to the board.
But don't go and say, I'm going to get this all deployed across the company at every function, and then I'm going to look for a 30% improvement in productivity. It's not going to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
You need to choose the use cases. By the way, this is why I actually wrote another in a workbook. It's a small 50-page workbook with exercises and stuff. You need to choose the use cases very judiciously, and then deploy on a small scale. Don't go, you don't want to deploy it across the entire function. You don't want to get everything done because you will be disappointed. This is a journey, not you want to get it all done overnight.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. So again, it's really important that you're being thoughtful about it and you're working with people or hiring people in or consultants or whoever they may be who are spending a lot of time and can give you the actual answer of where AI is going to work and where it won't versus what you may want to hear, or the story you may want to tell. So,
Yep.
one of the things that I am most excited about AI is I think it needs to change the future of how we operate and how we work. In my own journey, I'm obviously woman of color, executive in Silicon Valley. I don't need to tell you how that story's gone. It's been some amazing times, but also not so great times. So I've been having a lot of conversations with people right now. Surgeon General is just, putting out a statement about the impact for parents and how stressed out everybody is. And AI, I think, has an opportunity really to create a much better future. And if we're only looking at it as a productivity tool, I think that's just going to be such a miss for humanity, honestly. It's so much more than that, right? And we have the ability now to use it to really change our structures as organizations. So they are more inclusive to all sorts of different people in different phases of life, so they can really contribute and grow business, right? Where we understand the importance of growing business, but there's a way to do it where you're not just like churning and burning people out and giving them heart attacks and plummeting their mental health, et cetera, et cetera. So what are some ways that you think AI in the future is really going to help create kind of a better business environment?
So you bring a really, really excellent point, Pallavi. One of the things I keep telling all my clients is don't think this is a productivity tool only. That's very, very narrow-minded.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, what I tell them is don't think that this is a technology tool. Because if you see this as the next shining object and then
Mm-hmm.
chase this and then, oh, this is going to be giving me 30% gain so I can fire, X number of these agents, that's a wrong approach
Mm-hmm.
because it's AI is dramatically, it is a paradigm shift to the extent it is what happened a couple of 100 years ago with the industrial revolution. How we're going to operate with AI and humans both working together, it's going to be significantly enhancer to people. And of course, we have seen people, the burnout happening during the COVID, and it,
Yeah.
it hasn't stopped even now. But it could be a tool to help people reduce that burnout, to help increase the top line. I'll give you an example. So personalization, as we discussed earlier, it can actually the a lot of the businesses track the same store sales, but also same person, the person what and how much a person is spending. That's you can think that as a same store sales, as some organizations call it. But if you go from 100% to 110%, 120%, that's a top line growth. And another thing is, let's say you use AI to come up with a product much faster. Let's say you develop products every 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're able to, with AI's help, if you're able to get that out in 4 months, so the churn of the products is much faster, how quickly you're coming up. And so that is going to help with your top line growth. Third angle, Pallavi, is new business models. What was not possible with AI, you could be able to come up with new business models that will create new streams of revenue. So all these are adding to your top line, not just the bottom line. And secondly, on the people when the productivity is improving, right? Let's say you create content, and then with AI's help, you're able to create the content instead of spending 2x time 24/7 thinking about it. You would be able to spend less time to create the content much faster. So that's going to help your mental health, giving you time to spend with your family, children, etc. So this is all going to be significantly helping all the folks working lots and lots of hours and helping the businesses grow.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the work that a lot of high skilled people should be doing is not currently getting done. I think there, are a lot of stats out there about how the amount of admin work or busy work or, looking through emails to find something that you need to, people are not really spending their minds the way they could be. And the goal here, I think, needs to be to use AI to really unleash kind of human potential so it can be doing kind of higher functioning items. And again, if you're only looking at it as a productivity tool versus like an innovation tool, you're also going to miss the boat. So I'm hoping
Absolutely.
it'll all take care of itself.
Absolutely. That's very narrow-minded. In my view, I just go back. It's for the top line, bottom line, and to enhance human productivity and happiness.
Exactly. With that, I'm going to say thank you so much for joining us and sharing your insights today. Listeners, please do not forget to check out Reddy's brand new book. It's available now on Amazon. And if you enjoyed this episode and want to learn more about AI with a practical take on its impact on the future of work, please subscribe to AI Inclusive. You can leave a comment and let us know what topics you'd like us to explore in the future. And I also encourage you to follow both me and Reddy on LinkedIn, where you can stay on top of the latest in how to apply AI to grow your business. And you can also follow witOmni AI Marketing on LinkedIn for more great content. I'm Pallavi Sharma. Thank you so much for joining me today.